Good afternoon. I'm Debbie Hughes with Catoosa County Chamber of Commerce. I am the membership coordinator, and I have a guest with me today, Michael Colquitt from American National Insurance. But first, we're going to go over a few things that are happening in the chamber and some of the community events that are being put on by members in our chamber. First off, we would like to recognize the member of the week this week, and that is Bushings Unlimited. They are located down Alabama Highway. They have a prefab building down there, and they do a lot of I'm trying to think of the correct word to use, but they have a lot of projects they do with Duracell and different places where they make the molds for different things. It's a very interesting to listen to them, and I believe they're getting ready to go 3D on a lot of stuff. Again, it's Bushings Unlimited, and if you need to get a hold of them or would like to find out more about their company, that number is 423-774-5100. The other things we'd like to recognize is our restaurant of the month, and that is Jefferson's in Ringgold. So if you haven't ate there, it's on Tennessee Street, and go by and enjoy lunch or dinner. They're open 7 days a week. Our tourism partner of the month is Chasing Down Daydreams, and I believe she's going to be here with Amy next week to talk about travel and different things that she can plan for you, and she can help you if you've got questions about restrictions or whether someone's leaving the ports or not leaving the ports, or but she'll be able to plan a whole trip for you. Sharon Mitchell is our ambassador of the month. Sharon does supplement insurance, and she's an independent, and she has Medicare and Aflac and different things like that. But again, Sharon Mitchell, you can reach her, her phone number's not on here, but it's called Sharon Mitchell's Benefits, and she is our ambassador of the month. And our nonprofit of the month is YMCA. So, support these businesses. Each month we choose, one to highlight each week, and we want to support them and make them feel like, they're a big part of our community. One of the big things that's coming up with the Chamber is our Catoosa Gala and Casino Night. The theme of it is Catoosa Royale, and we will be having that at the Colonnade on March 12th. And if you would like to get more information about that, please call the Chamber. We have individual tickets available and tables, and those are for Chamber members, or you can be a guest of a Chamber member. It's always a lot of fun. Of course, we can't give any money away, but we give some nice gift baskets. So come enjoy yourself on March the 12th. This is also the night we recognize Business of the Year, our Ambassador of the Year, our Citizen of the Year, and I'm trying to think, there's one more. But this is our awards night, and it's always a lot of fun. It's a full course dinner, sit down, DJ, casino tables. You've got to find something you can enjoy, because it is fun. Another thing that is going on is our leads group. I'm sorry, not our leads group, our leadership group. Each year we have leadership. They are challenged to do a community service project. And this year, to raise money for some different organizations that are in our community, they are doing a bowling tournament on Sunday, February the 6th from 1 to 5 at Spare Time in Chattanooga. This is a great way to support the leadership group, but support the nonprofits that will benefit from this. And our leadership group has about 21 members in it this year. And if you've never been part of a leadership group, it goes behind the scenes of many of businesses, government, nonprofits, and they get to see and learn about how the inner works of different things go on. And a couple more things, I'm sorry. We want to congratulate the City of Ringgold for being awarded a Georgia Visionary City Award by the Georgia Municipal Association. I think I got all that out, Georgia, and Georgia Trends Magazine for creating the Ringgold's Farmer Market as a cornerstone event in the Ringgold Depot Square. So they received this recognition this weekend. Again, we want to congratulate the City of Ringgold. And one of the other things that's going on, there is a upcoming presentation which will be at 5:30 tomorrow at Lifegate Church in Lafayette, Georgia. It's a perspective on mental illness. It's a 90-minute interactive presentation dedicated to personal stories on mental health. This is being put on by the Healthy Foundation, and if you can't make that one, there is another one on March the 1st at 5:30 at the Lafayette Walker County Public Library. So again, it's something that Healthy Foundations is putting on, and it should be very interesting. They've got 2 presenters coming in to work with them, and it should be a good time for, if you've got questions or concerns, maybe they can answer your questions. Again, that's Perspectives on Mental Illness, and it's a presentation tomorrow night at 5:30 at Lifegate Church, 204 North Main Street, Lafayette, Georgia. And one other one coming up is Source Training of Strength. And it is something that the Lift nonprofit youth center is doing. And it's had a rescheduled date, and they are now putting it on 3/19. And it has to, what is it? It's Sources of Strength is a strength-based comprehensive wellness program that focuses on suicide prevention but impacts other issues such as substance abuse and violence. See the strength wheel at the top of the page. I'm sorry, I don't have that. But anyway, the program is based on helping people focus on suicide prevention. It can be a group of students and adult, and so if you're interested in that, please reach out to Lift in Ringgold, Georgia. And now I'm going to get to Michael, and we're going to talk about your insurance for a few minutes and see what we can learn that maybe we're doing incorrectly. Welcome, Michael.
Well, thank you for having me today. Thank you, and you had a lot of stuff to cover. So I'm glad you got your bottle of water. But
Yes.
thanks for having me today.
So, tell us about what types of insurance you sell, why we should be looking at our policies, and go from there.
So I represent American National Insurance. My office is located in Chattanooga, Tennessee, but I live here in Ringgold in Catoosa County. And so kids are in school in Catoosa County, and it's funny, almost half of my book of business is in Tennessee, half of it's in Georgia. So it's nice to be able to do the partnerships and stuff and work with the chamber here in Catoosa County where we live and play, and it's a great place to be. I've been with American National for a little over 6.5 years. We do everything from personal home, personal auto, personal life insurance, to commercial insurance. We insure your boats, your jet skis, your four-wheelers, anything that you've got that needs insurance, we take care of it. But yeah, so American National Insurance.
Okay, so what should people do when they're thinking about, should they get new quotes every year, or should they, if they're adding something on, should they shop around, should they call different, or should... Tell me.
The biggest thing we want to focus on for American National and for my agency, for our clients, is we want to make sure your coverages are correct. A quick story. I've only been in the insurance business for 6.5 years. I was in banking for about 12 before that. But a couple years ago with the Easter tornadoes that came through, of course, we all remember where we were when all those situations took place. The day after the tornado, a bunch of groups from churches piled up in trucks, got chainsaws, and went to go help and see what we could do to help. And I'll never forget, we went to Holly Hills in East Brainerd, which is one of the areas that got hit the hardest. Of course, just looked like a bomb had went off in that whole area. And so we were cutting down trees, moving brush, just doing what we could to help the people that were there. And I'll never forget when someone found out that I was an insurance guy. I was all of a sudden popular, not for my chainsaw or for any of the work that I was doing, but they needed help finding out what they had. So I go into this house. I'll never forget. It's probably a $350,000 to $400,000 house, used to be, and the second floor of it is gone. The tornado completely took it away. And I'll never forget walking in that house with the homeowner. We walked into his office that was on the first floor of the house, and again, we're standing in sunshine because the second floor of the house is gone. And we're in his office. He opens his filing cabinet because everyone has the insurance file folder. It's in a desk in an office, it's in the kitchen, whoever it is, you get your homeowner's policy and your auto policy, you throw it in that folder or that binder or wherever it is, and you've got it, but you don't know what's in it. But he pulled out his homeowner's policy, and this $400,000 house was insured for $165,000.
Wow.
Because the law says the insurance coverage only has to cover the loan amount for the property. So the mortgage was paid down pretty substantially because they'd been there for a while. However, their insurance coverage was just not right. And the problem was that the homeowner, not their fault, but they had signed the application, they had signed all the paperwork because they had trusted that their insurance agent and their loan originator who had done their refinance had done it correctly, and they hadn't. And so it was too late to do anything about it. And so they settled. They were able to basically bulldoze the house and had to start from scratch.
And go back and do it.
Exactly right, yeah.
Okay. Well, now, do you offer any kind of, insurance for a family that has young drivers and...
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah, the dreaded 16-year-old driver. Every time I do a quote or do a review for folks with a younger driver, I just apologize up front because it does hurt, but it's just because they're a higher risk classification and they have more accidents, which cause more problems. But American National and all insurance companies, for the most part, home and auto insurance pretty much is what it is. You have a wreck, your car insurance takes care of you. You have a claim on your home, most of the time your homeowner's policy is going to take care of you and do it correctly. So what I like to try to do is focus on what American National does differently, focus what our agency does different, because you don't want to have the first interactions with your insurance agent to be after there's a problem. So I try to get to know my clients on the front end, have a good rapport with them, sit down at their coffee table, sit at their kitchen table, talk through what they've got, why they've got it, and make sure it's correct. And then, again, talk about the differences that American National and our agency offers. A few of those differences, and the biggest ones, and really and truly some of the ones that brought me to American National, the first thing is what is called our cashback program. There are a lot of companies that have different types of programs where you can get discounts or some sort of a reduction in your premium by doing this, or plugging something into your car, or having an app that you have to sync to your phone, that syncs to your laptop, that syncs to your tablet, and all those crazy things that it's not going to work, but it sounds good on TV commercials. But American National, if you have your home and your cars with us, the day that you start coverage with us with those two policies starts a 3-year waiting period. In those 3 years, you pay your bill correctly and you go claim free. That's all you have to do. Go claim free and pay your bill. Every year following that 3rd year that you continue paying your bill correctly and continue going claim free, American National will give you back 25% of all of your home and auto premium back to you each year that you continue doing that. The way it works is your 4th year that you're with us, we give you back 25% of everything you paid from your 1st year. The 5th year is 25% of everything you paid from your 2nd year. So it's a 3-year look back period, basically. So simple math, because I'm not good at math sometimes. Let's say you pay $1,000 for your homeowner's policy and $3,000 a year for your car insurance, which is $1,500 every 6 months, which is pretty average. So $4,000 for simple math for Michael today. $4,000 a year for your annual premiums, 25% of that is $1,000 that we would give you back just for doing what most people normally do, which is pay their bill and go claim free. So, like I said, I've been with American National for 6.5 years. I've been an agent and a client. So every June is just how it fell on my calendar when I wrote my policies for myself. But every June so far, knock on wood, my family has gone claim free and we paid our bill correctly. So we've gotten back $850, $830, and $915 worth of cashback checks just for doing, again, what folks normally do, which is pay their bill and go claim free.
Okay, so if you did have to have a claim, it would start all over again once.
So you have, if you have a claim,
over.
yeah, you have a claim, that cashback clock resets. So it doesn't go away forever, but you wait the 3-year period and then it kicks back in again for you.
Okay, sounds like a good incentive.
Yeah, well, like I said, it's just one of those things. I like simple, so you don't plug something into your car where Big Brother's watching you drive. You don't have to have all these other things. It's claim free and pay your bill. So it's very, very simple.
One of the questions is if you have, like a car accident, and then you don't file a claim, you let the other guy file a claim, would that go against you?
So that's a great question. I'm glad you asked. There a lot of folks, when I ask them what type of coverages they have, the favorite answer and the one that I get the most is I have full coverage. That's great, but that's not what I asked. There are what are called limits of liability coverage when you talk about your car insurance that determine how much coverage you actually have if there's a situation where you are at fault in a wreck. Now, what you said, if you get hit, someone hits you, it's the other driver's fault, that's on their insurance to take care of you, and that does not hurt your cashback status at all. So, like I said, that's all on the other insurance company to get your car fixed or replace it, rental car, all of those things that come with it. But as far as making sure that your coverages are where they need to be when you have a wreck that is your fault, that's when the limits of liability really matter. And the full coverage, you may have that full coverage where your car may be replaced or repaired, but when you deal with situations where the other folks in the other car are injured, where there's medical expenses that are involved, litigation that happens, you can't drive down a major highway in this area or road and you see a billboard that says, "You've been hurt in a wreck, call me for a check." That happens every day. Another reason why the insurance premiums are where they're at, what's one of the mitigating factors, because people are sue happy. All of a sudden their back hurts, their neck hurts from getting rear-ended, and it all kind of plays into that.
I was just sitting there thinking, and I kind of lost my train of thoughts. With the values of housing going up, are you adjusting those to meet the...
Yeah, that's a great, you mentioned earlier why it's important to know your agent and have a review. With the market the way it is, with the housing, I mean, just, going crazy with valuations and values, you don't want to be in a situation where your house 5 years ago when you moved into it was worth $150,000. Well, now it's worth $240,000 because of just the property valuations. Right. So when you're exactly right when you're talking about total loss scenarios, which aren't fun to think about, but as we know with the tornado watch that happens every other week in this area, it happens, and it'll never happen to you until it does. And it's one of those things where you'd rather know what you have and why you have it beforehand, so you're not trying to pick up the pieces afterwards. Yeah,
because I was just thinking, your tax bill goes up every year, then your property value seems to increase, then you need to have that, that increase.
And most insurance companies will give some sort of a range of an increase as far as the coverage amount year over year, just inflation and just cost of things going up. But when it spikes the way it has over the last few years, the increase that most companies do typically aren't enough. And again, that's based on you get your policy in the mail like everyone does and actually looking at it, instead of most folks that I talk to have their, again, it's a big folder that comes from your insurance company. They don't open it. Because with a homeowner's policy, it's typically escrowed, which means your mortgage payment takes care of your homeowner's insurance. Your car insurance, 9 times out of 10, is a monthly draft out of your checking account. It doesn't change dramatically normally during renewals, so it may vary $5 to $10 to $15 difference as far as renewals are concerned most of the time. So if you don't have someone who knows what they're looking at and knows why they're looking at different things, that's why having a review is so important.
Under homeowners, what about your interior, your like jewelry or anything like that?
Sure.
Is it important as you accumulate more to look at that, to see what your values are? Because when you start out at young, you probably don't have as much as you do when you're 50
Absolutely.
or 60.
And several years ago, at the Gateway Mall here in Fort Oglethorpe, there was a big gun show, and they have one every so often there as well. But I did a table, a booth, I guess you'd call it, at a gun show. And we have some firearms I've collected over the years, those sort of things. And some of the more high dollar weapons that we have, I had a table set up, and I had 5 weapons at the table that were expensive and were valuable. And as people would walk by my table, of course, the nice weapons at the table would kind of draw them in because they wanted to look at them, and they were neat looking. And I said, so if you have a fire or someone comes in and gets in your gun safe and takes all these guns away, your homeowner's policy as it sits, unless it's notated differently, you could have one of these 5 or 6 guns back with your current policy. Which one would you get back, and which one would you let all the rest of them go? So that's the same with firearms, with jewelry. There are limits of insurance for different parts of your personal property in your policy. And again, that's in that big chunk of paperwork that no one reads until after the fact, when you're trying to pick up the pieces of a fire or a tornado or a theft or whatever. One of the checklist items that I have all of my clients do, or I tell them to do it, I can't go to their house and make them. But as soon as we write a homeowner's policy for a client and they're in their home, I always jokingly say, when is your house the cleanest? Around holidays when people are visiting or spring cleaning or whatever the case may be. But get your cell phone, go to a panoramic picture, which is the one that does the wide angle. Go in every room and take a panoramic picture of every room of your house. If you have a tornado, if you have a theft, if you have a fire, whatever the situation may be, where you have to deal with an adjuster in making you whole again after a situation like that, you think you're going to know what you have, and you're going to remember every little knick-knack and detail that you've got. You're not. It's a traumatic situation. It's a very, very, it's a sad place to be, especially when you're trying to remember all these things and you can't. So having that panoramic picture of every bedroom, you save it on the cloud so it's not tied to just your phone or whatever, but when you can pull that, you can say, here was my 60-inch Samsung television. An adjuster can't argue with the picture of a 60-inch television hanging on the wall. Here's this art, here's this fire, whatever the case may be. So that's where that's so important.
Yeah, I've heard that over the years, to be sure that you had pictures, but then I thought, well, you could lose those too. But
yeah, picture like the Polaroid pictures where they pull them out and you flap them in the wind and you can lose those. But if you put them in the cloud with the panoramic picture on your phone or computer, it makes a difference. But I had a client who had an electrical situation in their house, an older home. Electrical situation shorted out. Thankfully, they were out of town, but the house burned down to basically nothing. And we had their home insured for a couple years. And like I said, it was just one of those freak accidents that will never happen to you until it does. But she had the panoramic pictures from when I told her to do it a couple of years prior. And of course, we walked her through the whole process, got them taken care of. We insured their new house that they built. But she thanked me so many times for being able to use that as a reference to go back to make their life a little bit easier through the chaos that they were dealing with.
Yeah, I can see where, you won't remember because you're so frantic,
Sure.
And, but you do accumulate from when you started more and more stuff with value, so you've got to keep up with that.
Absolutely.
What about catalytic converters that are being cut off of vehicles? Are they going to be covered by insurance or not?
So
this is happening quite frequently in neighborhoods around us.
The catalytic converters are not a mechanical piece of the vehicle. The thing you're going to run into there is the cost that you're going to pay for a deductible is probably going to be at the same or more for paying a deductible to get the catalytic converter replaced or fixed. So it doesn't really help you. Let's say, and again, I'm not up on the catalytic converter cost of replacement, and they may be a lot more than I'm thinking they are. But if your deductible is $500 and a catalytic converter costs $600 to replace, again, I'm making up numbers, I don't know.
Right.
But having that claim to affect your rates with anybody you're with anyways, having that claim to affect the long term to save $100 is really not going to benefit you.
No. I just wondered about that. I mean, I'm not sure how much, but I do know that I see it quite often.
Sure.
Somebody's catalytic converter in our neighborhood's been cut off,
Yeah.
And even some of the businesses.
Yeah, I don't doubt it at all.
And they're stealing a lot of the trailers too. But you insure trailers.
Yep, and it's
Full trailers.
Full trailer, yeah. A friend of mine, we saw it on Facebook. They posted a video of the security cams of a stolen truck stealing his trailer from his work lot, and it was off Cloud Springs Road here in Catoosa County. It's just it's crazy the things that people will do, but he thankfully had it insured correctly, and so he's made whole again after paying a deductible, and it's just the frustration of having to deal with the hassle of it, but he's made whole because he was insured correctly.
Okay, and do you do business insurance, or do you just do personal insurance?
So been with American National for 6.5 years, and I really started my business and built my business on the personal side of things with the home, auto, and life insurance and umbrellas and, like I said, the boats and jet skis and all those sort of things. But American National is really getting more active and involved in the commercial and business insurance. So it's an exciting time to be able to see how we're able to insure different types of businesses for different sort of things. So we're kind of shifting gears a little bit, not away from personal lines, but just adding that business side and the commercial side to our repertoire as well, to kind of go with that.
And you mentioned life insurance. Do you write quite a bit of that?
Well, that's one of the things, talking about your home insurance and your car insurance, of knowing what you have and why you have it. Life insurance is no different. Most folks that work for an employer, most employers now offer some sort of a work life insurance program, which is great. I encourage you, if your employer offers work life insurance, get as much of it as you can, because it's typically very, very cheap, if not free, because it's in a group plan with your employer. The only downside to work life insurance is, for most folks, that's what they depend on to take care of their family as a whole if something were to take place and happen to them.
Right.
So again, we'll use round numbers to make life easier for me. Let's say someone makes $50,000 a year as a salary.
Right.
Most work life insurance programs will give them 2 to 3 times their annual salary, which would be $100,000 or $150,000. Now that's nothing to sneeze at, don't get me wrong, but you're going to take $20,000 to $30,000 off the top immediately for funeral cost, because that's what if you have anything other than straight in the box, straight in the ground, anything else, you're going to be in that $20,000 to $30,000 range, which is craziness, but that's what it is. And it's only going to get more expensive the longer time goes on. So again, we'll call it $20,000 right off the top. So now if you had $100,000, you're down to $80,000. Well, what most folks don't think about with life insurance, that I preach this over and over and over again to try to get people to hear me. It's not just losing a loved one or a spouse, it's losing their income that is being brought in by that spouse. So we use a husband and wife, for example. Let's say the husband is the one who makes the $50,000 a year. When he passes away, that not only is the husband gone, the income of the $50,000 that he made is now gone as well. And so they spend the $20,000 to bury him and all those sort of things, and dealing with all the other situations that go along with that. But you still have to pay your mortgage. You still have to pay the power bill. You still have to pay your water bill, your cell phone, your car insurance, your car payments. All of those things don't go away, but the income has. And so having something in place, like I said, that's why you have to have a plan in place. And life insurance is one of those things, no one wants to talk about it, again, because it'll never happen to me until it does. And then you turn a tragic situation of losing a spouse, a loved one, and make it to where now finances is adding to that burden of dealing with that circumstance. I see a lot of times with kids. Again, I've got 3 beautiful daughters, 14, 11, and 5. They are the light of my world. We cry a lot at my house because I live with 4 women. Normally it's just me crying.
They are pretty girls.
Yeah, but I cannot imagine if something happened to one of my girls, right? Now that would be the worst thing imaginable, obviously. Well, now something happens to a child, you've got a $25,000 bill for a funeral. Now, money is, you're not thinking about money at that point, but again, you've got to have a funeral, you've got to have burial cost, all those sort of things. Now, I would love to say that I have $25,000 just sitting over here in the savings account that I could go write a check for that bill. I don't. And I don't know a lot of folks who do. So then you're dealing with having to get a loan, a credit card, a home equity line of credit, or some sort of way to pay that bill. And now you're dealing with that tragedy, and you've got a monthly bill that's coming in the mail just to constantly remind you of it. So getting something set up for your kids, it is so simple. It is so inexpensive. Like I said, it's $10 to $15 a month, even that, and that takes care of all of that for a parent. I talk to a lot of grandparents who do it for their grandkids, because kids these days, and mine are no exception, they have everything. So they have all the latest cool toys and all those sort of things. So I've talked to grandparents about doing plans for their grandkids for birthdays and for Christmases. It's not the fun, woo, look at your present.
Right.
But it's something that they can actually use. It builds cash value, and it's a value to the child as opposed to a piece of junk that's going to be thrown away in 3 months.
And then they can transfer it.
Absolutely. You can set it up any number of ways. Most folks will set it up through the kids getting through college. That's what my wife's family actually did. She had a permanent life policy that they got for her when she was a child, like I'm talking about having for folks. And when she graduated college, we got married. We just took over that payment of each month. And I'm not going to say how old my wife is or how old I am, because I'm not stupid. But that payment that she and her parents paid her whole life is, I think it's $19 a month. It's the same now. It's building cash value. It will never go away. It will never expire. And it's just another form that we have.
That's, yeah. I've heard of people giving their, newborn grandbabies that as, the gift for them at that time.
Yeah.
And that's a great thing, I think, because people do not realize the expense of a funeral.
No, it's crazy. Yeah, the one story I'll share, about 4 years ago, I'd been with American National for a couple years. Every year we go to Galveston, Texas, which is where our home office is. And we have an annual conference. They bring in speakers and learn about new things that the company's doing and offering. And they bring in these motivational speakers or, people just to talk to us. So we're in this big convention hall in Galveston, Texas, where our home office is. And we're in this meeting. There's 1,500 agents there. And there's these large stages and big screens and lights, and it's real fancy. And this 26, 27-year-old lady walks out on stage. No fanfare, no music, no nothing. Just a spotlight hits her. And she says, "This is my story." So up on the stage, there's been these big screens that pop up and the videos start showing. Her name was Tara Newby. And her husband, Preston, were from Canada, actually, and they moved to Washington State because he was taking a job as a youth pastor at a church in Washington. So him, his wife, and they had a 2-year-old son, moved from Canada down to Washington State to take to this church, take this position as a youth pastor. They move down, and one of the people in the congregation of the church is an American National agent. They're introduced to him, and he says, well, we're going to get you set up with your car insurance and a renter's policy for their apartment that they were living in. So he goes to their office, and they get all the paperwork done, does the car insurance, does a renter's policy for them, and the American National agent says, tell me about your life insurance. Well, they both kind of look down because they don't have any. And Tara, the wife, was in charge of the checkbook. She said, look, you know what they're paying us at the church. We're thankful and grateful to be here, but we have no extra money for any kind of frills of any kind of an extra policy. So he understood, didn't push it, but he said, we just need to have that conversation. Let's try to schedule that. So fast forward 6-8 months, life happens, time moves on. But Preston, the husband, went back to that agent's office and said, I've got some money tucked aside that I'd like to use to buy myself a life insurance policy. We're not going to tell Tara about it because I don't want to get in trouble. But just in case something happens to me, I want to know that they're taken care of. So a few months pass, Christmas holidays are coming up, and they're driving back to Canada to celebrate Christmas with her family. They're also going to tell the family that she is pregnant with their second child. So they're driving up the highway in this western highway up there, kind of out in the middle of nowhere situation. And they came up on a car that had hit an elk or a moose or one of those big animals out there. The moose had rolled up the car into the window of the car that had hit it. So they came up on this accident. So it had just happened. They pull over. Preston's going to try to help, see what he can do to help. Tara stays in the car with the 2-year-old, and of course, like I said, she's pregnant. She's calling 911 to see what they can do to help them. So Preston's there trying to see the people in the car, what he can do to help, because they're hurt, because it's a bad thing. So one of his trips to and from back to their car, another car is coming up the interstate. It's late at night, and hit Preston. Knocked him about 150 feet from impact, because it's an interstate. It's a bad situation, obviously. Tara gets out, runs to him, and he passes away in her arms from the impact of the wreck. So what do you do at that point? She goes home. Her family, obviously, everyone is devastated from this tragedy. 2-year-old son, one on the way. They're trying to figure out how they're going to come up with $10,000 to $15,000 to $20,000 to bury him. And then what? What happens next? So, of course, word got back at the church what had happened. And the agent with American National was able to start the paperwork and processing. Went to Canada to the funeral of Preston and was able to give her the paperwork for $1 million worth of life insurance that he had set up for his family to take care of them. Now, that story, and again, we're all just, wiping tear and, snot. Just, I mean, it was a tremendously impactful story we're watching. She comes back out, and Debbie, I cannot tell you what she said, but I will never forget the way that I felt at the end of when she gave her little speech at the end. That insurance agent walked out from behind the stage holding the hands of the 6-year-old boy and the 4-year-old boy and walked out and gave her a hug. And
that gives me coach.
It does. I still to this day, I mean, it was crazy. And to think it was because the agent asked. And it wasn't trying to push a sale on somebody. It wasn't anything related to that. It was, this is important. This is why. It didn't cost a lot of money. They were young. I talked to a lot of folks who are nearing retirement age, and that work life insurance policy is about to expire because it doesn't go with you after you retire most of the time. Mm-hmm. And so having that conversation when you're in your 50s or 60s is going to be much more expensive than when you're in your 20s and 30s. But people don't want to talk about it until that point, and now you're overpaying for it. Mm-hmm. That's when the stigma of it being so crazy expensive happens, because if you wait, it is more expensive. But if you do it and set it up when you should have those conversations, it'll save you tremendously.
Well, now there's 2 kinds of life insurance. Is there not?
There's a bunch, but
I mean, there's 2 kinds.
Sure.
The one that that will stop at a certain
Right.
age.
So the two that you're referring to, I think, is term life insurance and
Right.
permanent life insurance.
Right.
So term life insurance is what Dave Ramsey tells you to have. It's renting life insurance because you pay for it for a certain term, which is why it's called term. 10, 15, 20, or 30 years. You pay for the same premium for that time frame. And then I jokingly say, because when you're talking about life insurance, again, it's kind of a somber topic. So I bring some humor into it. And I say, in that time frame, if you don't cooperate and die, the policy goes away and the money that you've paid into it is for nothing. So what most folks have, because it's the cheaper option, 9 times out of 10, let's say you're 25 years old, you buy a 30-year term policy for $1 million and it's $50 a month. So from age 25 to age 55, that's 30 years, you've paid $50 a month, never missed a beat, never missed a beat. And at your 56th birthday, all that money that you paid into the policy is gone. And the death benefit is gone because the policy's expired. Now, I say all that not meaning that term is bad, because you need to have, for the, like my age range, I have 3 kids, I have a wife, I have a mortgage, car payments, all those sort of things. So I need a big death benefit if something happens to me. Not only to take care of losing my income, but taking care of 3 kids and getting them through college, paying mortgages, all those sort of things as well. So I like the blended approach of having the term policy with the bigger death benefit that is cost efficient to get you through those times of, hopefully in 30 years, I won't have a mortgage. My kids will be out of the house. Hopefully. You'll have less debt accumulation. You'll have lower cost of living at that age. So again, the bulk of the death benefit is for those years when you have those added cost. But the blended strategy has that term for that, and then the permanent side of a policy that does not expire. Now, again, there's a myriad of options of different ways and different strategies to go about that, and we have different tools depending on what you're wanting to accomplish. You've got one way that you can use as a retirement program, where the money that you're paying into the policy not only gets you a death benefit, but the money that you're paying into the policy also builds and gains interest that you can draw off of as a retirement source of income. You've got another option where it's a permanent policy that doesn't have any market exposure, so there's no upside or downside risk. It just is what it is. You pay for the policy for 20 years. It's called a 20-pay policy. At the end of 20 years, it's paid for and done. You no longer pay any premium, but your death benefit is there forever. So that's a nice option for folks who, like I said, you're not dealing with any market exposure or anything like that. You just want to have life insurance to, again, take care of final expenses, maybe leave the kids and grandkids a special gift or something like that, and not pay out the nose for it.
Okay. Well, it's very interesting. And, you know, we each have to make our choices
Sure.
of what works with our budgets, but it is, if you've never thought about life insurance, you do need it, because coming to the end, it does cost money for the burial, and it will only go up.
Yeah, well, that's through these last 2 or 3 years with dealing with all the COVID situation. Obviously, I think everyone can say they know someone who has passed away from it, and I'm in that boat. And so, for everyone who I talk to about life insurance, oh yeah, we need to sit down and talk. We need to do that. We need to do that. And then for those folks who it's too late, and that wish we would have turns into, man, I wish we would have. And so that's where, you know, it's a burden on me, because I've had situations where I have had friends that have passed away and that hopefully have been taken care of with life insurance, but they're friends that I don't know, because they wouldn't have that conversation. And so you see families dealing with the aftermath of that, and it's just tragic.
Well, I appreciate it. Anything else you want to add to talking about insurance? Because I'm going to pick your brain a little bit about the chamber now.
Perfect. Like I said, if you have questions about your insurance, call my office at 423-892-2024. Extension 3 rings straight to me at my desk. My cell phone is 423-304-4424, so you can reach me either one of those numbers. Like I said, having a review done doesn't cost anything. It doesn't bind you to do anything with us. Like I said, if we do a review and you're good with what you have, I'll tell you that. It's not about just writing it with us. We want your business, of course. We want your business if it makes sense for you and for us. And so, like I said, give me a call if you have questions.
Well, thank you, Michael. He is also in one of our leads group on Wednesday mornings through the chamber. Do you think that is beneficial to you? Have you gotten business from that? Networking.
Yeah.
It's all part of the chamber's goal is to connect people.
So when I first started my business, again, six and a half years ago, had my nose to the grindstone, just trying to quote everybody for insurance, because that's how it works. I mean, you start with nothing and you have to build from there. And so got plugged into the chamber kind of by accident. You hear, and I've seen folks who I thought got too involved and forgot about their main job, but it's a blended thing. It really isn't. That partnership works so well to help grow your business. I got into my leads group. Being an insurance guy, the insurance guy of a leads group is a really popular place to be because there's a bajillion insurance people. But I was very fortunate to get in when I did with our group Pro Leads that meets on Wednesday morning at the Colonnade at 8:30. And I've got great partners there. Realtor, mortgage broker, chiropractor. We've got Katina with Chasing Down Daydreams Travel, who's coming, you said, next week. She booked our Disney trip for us, so that was great. But having that group, we have anywhere between 10 and 15, sometimes up to 20 that are in the meeting, either in person or Zoom. We've tried to make that a little bit easier for folks as well. But having those professionals that you trust to be able to refer business to and know that they're going to treat your clients as if you would treat them and vice versa has been huge and has really made a difference for my business.
Well, I know we have 5 leads groups, and all of them, I believe, right now have insurance because that is one of the more popular, and real estate agents and mortgage brokers. But we do have openings, and, we're always looking, and then there's the ambassador group. I don't know if you've ever participated in that. We tell people, if I can't get you in a leads group, let me start you with ambassadors, because that's a great networking group too, and they help a lot with the events. I believe you play golf normally.
I try.
And that's coming up in May. But the chamber is here for the community. We get involved in community programs. We go to events. We support our members if they're doing something with one of their organizations. We try to go and participate in that. We do have in Ringgold coming up February, I believe it's Friday night, February the 4th. It's called Galantine. It's a play off of Valentine's, and it's a girls' night out, and all the businesses downtown will stay open late. It starts at 5 o'clock. That'll be a fun night. You can do some shopping. Each shop will have either giveaways, they'll have appetizers. Some of them will have other people inside their shops, maybe doing nails, or I've had a scene where they've done color, massages, just different things to attract people to the downtown, to build up the Ringgold downtown. Mm-hmm. But that, we're always trying to find things that our community is doing to support them. Community events and nonprofits is a real big part of what we do in the chamber. You've got some nonprofits in your leads group. And
yeah, you were mentioning the downtown area of Ringgold. My wife is over the PTO of one of our girls' schools, and I call myself the first gentleman because she's the president of the PTO board. Almost every one of the small businesses in downtown Ringgold gave so many gift cards and so much to be able to help give the teachers at the school a great Christmas gift. And it was just a great show of the partnership.
Sure.
That, yeah.
Yeah, and the nonprofits that we have in the chamber, a lot of them, you know, if they have a walk, they have maybe a sit-down dinner or anything like that, we become part of that and support them. And I know each of the leads group, which we have 5 that meet, we have one that meets at lunch at Formed of Work on Tuesday. We have one on Tuesday morning at 8:30 at Rock Ridge Church, one on Wednesday morning.
That's the best one.
The Colonnade, at the Colonnade that Michael leads. And then we have one on Wednesday morning that meets at Cafe and Attic. And then we have one on Thursday morning that meets at Redstone Estates. So within that, they all have nonprofits, and we're all very supportive of those nonprofits. And they're very supportive of us when we do a gala, or we do a golf tournament, or we do our expo. All of these groups come together and they help us to put those on. So in turn, we're out there promoting what they do and try to help them in their business or in their events and in the community. Are you coming to the gala?
Of course.
You're going to have fun.
Of course.
I mean, we're bringing back casino this year. We didn't get to do that last year.
Yeah, a lot of fun.
We did the bingo last year. It was fun, but we're going to bring back the casino. We're going to bring back the dance floor. We've got a full meal. And then, of course, our awards for small business, large business, mid-sized business, Ambassador of the Year. So it's always exciting.
Sure.
And Citizen of the Year, and there's one more, and I keep forgetting what it is. There's one that we do that you don't have to be a member of the chamber, but you've got to be active in the community. And but anyway, but we have a lot going on at the chamber, and we appreciate all of our members and everyone that contributes to the chamber. And we want to be, you know, out there for them, helping them do what they need to do to network and grow their business, because we want Catoosa County to grow. You've got, your girls are active in sports in the community.
Yeah, we talk about it a lot. We have a Parks and Rec representative, that's hard to say, in our leads group, and our realtor, our loan originator, Catoosa County is growing because people want to be here. Our school systems with superintendent that we have, that is amazing, and a new one coming in that's going to be just as good. The school systems are amazing in building it. It's a place to be. People are working in Chattanooga and moving to our community. So I know the chamber does a lot to help grow the businesses in this area to where they're working in Catoosa County as well as living in Catoosa County. So.
And we've got College and Career Academy coming. It will be 2023. It'll be here before we know it.
They're moving dirt.
Yes, it's real exciting. If you haven't been by the Colonnade, drop by and look. There's a whole different area down there by the amphitheater now. It's changing. We will be honoring Dina Reese next month at the luncheon, as she will retire April 1st, if I'm correct. I think that's the correct day. But she will be honored at our February luncheon. That is February the 10th. And we will also have someone from the elections here in Catoosa County, the election board. They will be speaking. But this is basically to recognize Dina for everything she's contributed in the growth of the county. And you know, it's been some tough last years with COVID.
Yeah.
The teachers, absentee. I saw something on Facebook this week where the principal was it wasn't here, but there was a principal in an area serving lunch to the kids because they were short-staffed out with COVID. So they've had to figure out ways to make our school system work, and she's done an excellent job.
I think in getting them some semblance of back to normal and getting through the different surges and all those different things that have happened has been huge, and figuring out a way to make it work has been amazing.
Yeah, so if the luncheon is February the 10th, it will be at the Colonnade. It starts at 11:30. If you would like to come, you can call the chamber office, and Shirley will be happy to make reservations for you. And I did want to recognize again, our member of the week this week is Bushings Unlimited. We recognize a member each week, and he's got a real interesting business. He did a presentation, and it was very interesting about the moles and the forms and things that they can do. And he told us just last week in one of the leads group that I attended as a guest that they would be starting their 3D soon.
Wow.
So that will be interesting. And don't forget to visit Jefferson's. He is our restaurant of the month.
Delicious.
And tourism will be Cantina next, and she will be here next week to talk to you about travel, chasing down daydreams. Cantina does a great job. Like he said, she planned their Disney trip. She gets all the details. She finds out what you want to do and how long you want to be there, and she makes a package for you.
She did it all. It was great.
And Sharon Mitchell is our ambassador of the month. The ambassador program is for volunteers who want to work on the gala or maybe the golf tournament, the expo, or even the run that we're doing now.
And one thing with the ambassadors too, I know for my business, did a big ribbon cutting for our business, which was really, really neat. I used it not only for the chamber doing it for me, but I brought in clients and had a little, just a little party sort of deal, and had a great turnout at that. So I really appreciate the chamber doing that for us.
Right. Yes, the ambassadors is a great group that will go out and do your ribbon cutting. We do members of the week. We do groundbreakings. And we come together too to support the nonprofits and do events. I know some of us have formed a bowling team for the leadership fundraiser out of the ambassadors, and some have formed out of the leads groups.
I wish I was a better bowler. I really do. I'm semi-athletic, but I can't bowl. I'm so bad.
Well,
it's just so frustrating.
I'm used to bowling leagues, but it's been so long, so I'll probably be terrible. And then our nonprofit of the month, of course, is the YMCA, and they have some wonderful programs. Please check with them and find out. That number is 706-935-2226, and they sponsor, a lot of good programs here in our county. And then, of course, the gala coming up. Make your reservations for that. And I think I've just about covered everything.
Well, thank you so much for bringing me on today.
Yeah, well,
I appreciate
I'm glad you were here.
Yeah.
It's always good. I learn so much when I'm on this program and I have different businesses. I have learned, a lot by being able to sit with someone and talk to them for, 45 minutes or so.
Sure.
I learn about, their business and what I should be looking at and things to do. And it's always very interesting. I hope I didn't forget anything. We're really working to grow our chamber because once we grow that chamber, then it means that more businesses are in the community and more people are wanting to be part of our community. And we are, this month I've already got 9 new members.
Awesome.
And you do not have to live in Catoosa County to be a member of our chamber. You only want to be doing some business here, or I have people from Rome, Cleveland, Dalton, just people that want to do business in Catoosa County. And we always welcome you to come to the chamber, visit us at the Colonnade. We're open from 8 to 5, and we'll answer all your questions. We're also a tourist information location. We had a couple come in from Oregon today. They're relocating to Catoosa County, and they wanted maps, and they wanted to see what was, they wanted brochures, so when they come back, they'll know where to go. And it's, that was very interesting. But thank you, Michael. Enjoyed it. And
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
I think he's about to take us off air.